Let us start today one of the most interesting and the first step in 11th biology, that is diversity in the living world. And let us start today what is the living world. But before going into the topic what is living world, let us salute to the one of the greatest scientists of all time, and according to the Times magazine or other recognitions, one of the top person in 100 scientific terminal, what you call persona, that is Ernst Mayr, a German scientist who is actually considered as a triple crown in biology prize. Okay, he has won the prize like the Balsam Prize, the very prestigious international prize in biology, and Crawford Prize. So these are the big prizes has been given to this person, Ernst Mayr. Talking precisely about him, he was the one who actually studied biology, zoology, what do you call entomology, systematic evolutionary biology, and the current definition of species, which is central to the evolution, that is a group of individual which reproduces with each other successfully. This central definition of evolutionary concept of species was being given by Ernst Mayr. Okay, let us start the topic. What is living organism? We know that anything which grows, which reproduces and shows metabolic activity with what you call stimulus response to the environmental cues is considered as living organism. And if you compare a living organism with an inanimate thing, like a pencil or a pen or a table or a wall or a stone, all such things are just non-motile. They are at one place. But all these things do compare with living things also. So in precise, अगर हमें लिविंग थिंग्स को याद रखना है कंपैरिजन में, तो कुछ उनके रिमार्केबल पॉइंट्स को अच्छे से बस मेमोराइज करते हैं. फॉर दैट वी जस्ट रिमेंबर दिस शॉर्ट कीवर्ड जी आर मोर ही, दैट इज G for growth. Remember, G for growth, R for reproduction, M for metabolism, O for organization of the organism, R for here you can consider as a replication, or you can put this term of respiration also. You can add any character you want to remember. E here for evolution, okay, and then H here for homeostasis, and once again E here for environmental cues, response to environmental stimuli. I'll rewind one more time. Growth, reproduction, metabolism, organization. You may consider respiration or replication, and then here evolution, homeostasis, and a response to environmental stimuli. Okay, so these are the theme characteristics which differentiate a living thing from non-living thing, out of which we'll just come to ahead and let us decide which are actually the defining characteristics, because this growth, reproduction seems to be the characteristic of living organism, but because of certain exceptions in the non-living organism, they are not being 100% vertical authentic to decide yes it is the living being characteristic. Let us see some of the fact. First we said growth. Okay, growth means just increase in size. Okay, so plant also do increases from that seed, then seedling, plantlet, and then entire plant. Animals also, like we are born a small baby, then a vertical child, then in case of that adolescence, then mature, then young one, then old one. But this growth is slightly variable in plant and animals. In plant, the growth is indeterminate. I mean, since from its start of the growth till the end, the plant grows. Okay, there is no any limitation to its growth. In case of animal, after certain age, the growth stop. It is determinate. Okay, it is determinate, and this growth is by cell division. So after the stop of the cell division entirely in the body of animals, only certain cells in the tissue do reproduces and replaces the dead one or old one, and all this growth in plants and animals is being done by cell division. Okay, but in case of unicellular, the cell division itself, that increasing their number is the mark of growth. For example, at time 0 there are 5 bacteria, and then at time 10 minutes there are 10 bacteria. So this is the doubling and this is their growth. So in this way, with respect to time, their growth is being measured simply by the cell division. They reproduces by binary fission. Okay. So as we know that growth is directly proportional to a rise in the mass, but in non-living organisms or non-living thing, uh, they too also increases in size. So that growth in non-living things is called accretion. Okay, so the growth in non-living things is considered as accretion, and because of this complication, growth we cannot regard as the silent feature of a living thing. Next is reproduction. There are a lot of different methods. Reproduction is production of progenies and transfer of characters to the next generation. There are different methods. For example, fungi within no time can produce thousands of their copies or clones simply by asexual reproduction, producing different type of spores like aspospores, basidiospores, conidiospores. Like that, certain yeast and hydra undergo budding. Simply the part of the organism shows certain outgrowth. For example, this was the organism, this was outgrowth. This outgrowth grows and finally it comes as a new organism. That is called as the budding. Okay. There are certain organisms that reproduces by regeneration. We have seen in the 10th class, planaria. Do its fragmentation, one planaria cut into three parts. All these three parts grows into three different planaria. So that is regeneration. Okay. Fragmentation is also being seen in fungi, certain protonema of moss and filamentous algae. What are these filamentous algae, protonema of moss? That we'll see in the 3rd chapter in the coming series. Okay. So growth equals to reproduction in case of what? As the unicellular I said, that is amoeba and bacteria. These are unicellular. Now here amoeba is unicellular eukaryote and bacteria is unicellular prokaryote. So what is the difference between prokaryote and eukaryote? It is simply the presence of nuclear membrane in case of amoeba's nucleus, and it is absent in bacteria's nucleus. So it is called as nucleoid. So in this case, in such unicellulars, growth equals reproduction. As I said, they do reproduces by cell division, and that number of cells produced in during time, that is their growth, and simply it is their reproduction. Okay, so there are certain exceptions. Now there are certain living organisms, but they are not capable of reproduction. For example, moles or honeybees, worker honeybees, they are living organisms. They do work, they do grow, but they are not able to reproduce or produce their own progenies. So reproduction seems to be producing the progenies, passing the character to next generation, but it is not showing a universal characteristics that we can differentiate a living thing from the non-living thing. Okay. Now metabolism. Now this is the characteristics that is having stunning impact between living and non-living thing. फर्स्ट हम इसे समझते हैं कि मेटाबॉलिज्म क्या है. हमारे बॉडी में सारे जो रिएक्शंस हो रहे हैं ब्रेकडाउन के, रिपेयर, रीसिंथेसिस के, that is catabolism and anabolism respectively, is nothing but the metabolism. So the sum of catabolism and anabolism is metabolism, and in our body thousands of reactions are being carried out continuously in every cell. Okay, now these reactions are basically convergence, interconvergence of the biomolecules. What are these biomolecules? Simply these are this plan C. This plan C indicates P here proteins, L here lipids, AN here nucleic acid, and C here carbohydrates. So our entire body is almost made up of these things, these biomolecules, and every cell has these biomolecules, from bacterial cell to fungal cell to protozoal cell to algal cell or to different plant cell or animal cells. These biomolecules unite the basic constituent, and their synthesis or their breakdown, their repair, their convergence, all these things are being done under the act of metabolism, that is utilization of energy, breakdown of food, then use of this food for the conversion of different parts of the cell or the organization of the body defines the metabolism. And see, when the growth or reactions are occurring in our body, that is called in vivo reactions. But if suppose some of the reactions by enzymes are the biological catalysts, if we are carrying it outside the body, they are called as the In vitro mean in test tube outside the body. So they are not living thing, but they are living reactions because they are being carried by the biocatalyst. Okay. So in vitro, the reactions outside the body. So metabolic reaction outside the body are non-living things. They are non-living things, but they are living reactions. Okay. Now we know that we are quite aware of the surrounding of us, that is the environmental fluctuations. For example, in case of summer we see our hairs are just stick to our skin and there is a lot of sweat on there. But if you imagine in case of winter season, we don't usually sweat beside if we are doing strenuous exercise. So at the time in winter we see our hair follicles are just straightened like antennas and they are just conserving the heat inside the body. So this difference you can imagine is because of the temperature in the outside. So living thing has this unique feature that they receive the stimulus from the outside and respond to that stimulus by the nervous system. So this response to external cues or stimuli is one of the definite characteristics of living being. You cannot express a kind of behavior from stone after heating it, but if you touch a hot pan, immediately you show a reflex action. So that is actually the environmental cues. Okay. Now these environmental characteristics like light. In case of plants, you see there are certain plants which grow only inside a full duration of light, but some grow only in the shadowed part. Like that we can classify plant into heliophytes, sciophytes. Some live only inside the water, they are hydrophytes. Okay. Or some just grow inside the sand, psammophytes. Okay. So based upon the different environmental existence, their habitat, there is a response to the environmental fluctuations in case of plant as well as in animals. Okay. Now if you see this environmental cues and if we believe to compare it with the human being, we are conscious, we give response to external stimuli, but we are much more self-conscious. Okay. So out of all the living things and living organism, human beings are the one which are actually self-conscious rather than only conscious. Okay. But still in case of human beings also, there are a lot of contradictions. For example, if a patient in a hospital which is in coma, he is not doing any growth reproduction. Its heart, every brain and all activities are being controlled by the machines there, but still it is a living organism. So sometimes that also seems contradictory if we compare the characteristics of living and non-living. So coming at the bottom line, the characters that decide comprehensive differences between living and non-living is organization of the body, it is the response to the external stimuli, it is existence of metabolic enzyme and the act of metabolism, the repair mechanism, the replication. All such characteristics defines a living being from a non-living being. Okay, now move ahead and come inside the topic in our diversity of living organism in living world, that is the diversity. There are different plants you see in grassland, in forest, or in different types of forest. Okay, tropical forest, okay, deciduous forest, temperate forest, and in different what you call rivers, oceans, you find different aquatic animals. In different terrestrial ecosystem, you find different animals, starting from bacteria, fungi, protozoa, to plants, animals, etc., etc. There are billions of individuals. Okay, but with the help of scientific classification and specific characteristic of organism, it is being considered that till now this amount of organisms have been classified or studied, that is range from 1.7 to 1.8 million. So this is diversity. Okay, existence of different living organism at different places. Now to study it scientifically, a term was being brought, that is biodiversity. Bio, remember, that is living. Diversity, differences in their existence, that is number and types, different types of organisms on the earth, that is the biodiversity of earth. Now this is a very important term in study of ecosystem ecology or environmental biology, the biodiversity. This term is being coined by the scientist Walter G. Rosen. Okay, see, the term biodiversity was being coined by Walter G. Rosen, and father of biodiversity is called to Edward O. Wilson. So please remember these names correctly. The term biodiversity coined by Walter G. Rosen, and the father of biodiversity is Edward O. Wilson. Okay, so we know that there are plants, animals, they have different habitats, and there are billions of individuals. If you compare from different kingdoms, from 5 kingdom system to 6 kingdom system to 2 kingdom system to 3 kingdom system, there are billions of individuals in every species. Now if we see these differences, for example, if one plant exists in Maharashtra, that plant is there in Karnataka, even there in Tamil Nadu, even there in Andhra Pradesh. Imagine the same plant in different countries, 250 countries of this world. There are thousands of languages. Even itself in our country there are approximately 3000 languages. Now if suppose an animal like a cat is being coined in Maharashtra, has a difficult and different meaning in Kashmir or Uttar Pradesh, so that creates a kind of confusion to study the living organism. And to avoid that confusion, to study such diverse 1.7 to 1.8 million in different languages, different locations, different places, different countries, I think there should be a system that studies the characteristics and avoid the confusion. That is the science of classification. So to avoid this confusion, we give universal names to the living organism, and these universal names are not contradictory. Once these names are being given to the organism, the same name is being repeated in every part of the world to that specific organism. So that science of attributing names to the organism is called as nomenclature. So what governs us this nomenclature? सबसे पहले nomenclature की वजह से avoid हो जाएगा confusion को. हम confuse नहीं होंगे if we study the same animal or plant in one location to any part of the world. The same plant will remain same because it has a universal name. Second, we can facilitate comparison. अगर से हमारे पास नाम specific है और उसी type का दूसरा plant है, based upon its name we can compare different characteristics. So comparison बड़ा easy हो जाएगा. Plus we can focus on vital data कि इस location में इस type के plants कितने हैं, इस country में कौन सी diversity ज़्यादा है, किस कंट्री में कौन से स्पेसिफिक टाइप के एनिमल्स या यूनिक ऑर्गेनिजम्स है, दैट कैन वी बी फोकस्ड. एंड देन to point out the significant features. For example, bacteria, their significant feature, they lack nuclear membrane, silent feature. For example, histone protein present in eukaryotes, absent in prokaryotes, silent unique feature. So by having such nomenclature, we can focus on the silent features of different individual organisms. So to do this nomenclature, the first brick or the first step is the identification of organism, that is the recognition of specific characteristics of organism, and based upon that recognition of its unique features we can compare it with others. So that identification comes as the brick stage in the nomenclature. Okay, to do this nomenclature of different organism, there are different organizations that operate at the center organization in the world. For plants, it is the International Code of Botanical Nomenclature. International Code of Botanical Nomenclature. For animals, International Code for Zoological Nomenclature. And this for prokaryotes, International Code for Nomenclature of Prokaryotes. And for viruses, International Code for Nomenclature of Viruses. See how simple it is. B for botanical, Z for zoological, P for prokaryotes. Prokaryotes means the bacteria, and V for viruses. The remaining remains the same International Code for Nomenclature. Okay, so in this way we can introduce this chapter of the living world, and in next video we'll go through the basics of this chapter, how this classification is and how the classification module work by different hierarchical levels, and the correct explanation of some of the examples of plants and animals to do the scientific classification by binomial nomenclature. That will be the next point to see. So I hope in this today's topic you must understand the basic difference between living and non-living thing, defining characteristics of living organisms, then biodiversity, who coined it, who is father of biodiversity, and different organization in the world who are doing this nomenclature and classification of different organisms for botanical, for zoological, for prokaryote, and for viruses. So I wish you understood it. Quite simple and easy topic to understand. So thank you. Thanks for watching.